It's been said that the Salvation Army is Christianity with its sleeves rolled up. The couple joining me are living that truth. In July 2011, they were appointed Territorial Commander and Territorial President of Women's Ministries for the Salvation Army Canada and Bermuda Territory. It's such a privilege to welcome them, and I want to say congratulations to Commissioners Brian and Rosalie Peddle.
Thank you so much.
Good to be home.
Oh,
Very
great.
good to be home.
Both born in Newfoundland?
Yes.
Yes.
And the biggest draw, I hope I'm okay in saying this,
Yes.
everybody will understand. You have 4 grandchildren.
We do.
I do not know if you did come back when they were born, didn't you?
When the first 2 were born, we came back, and then we came back for the 3rd one. We were on our way to the UK, changing appointments from New Zealand to the UK, and during the month that we were home, we received our 3rd grandchild was born. So it was great to be there for that.
So it's mostly hugs by Skype?
Ah, yes.
Hugs and kisses by Skype.
Our screen is in a mess.
A glorious mess.
Yes.
Yes.
But now you can make it personal.
Yes.
Very personal.
And we want to see these treasures.
Oh, great, great.
Tell us who we're looking at.
This is our daughter Stephanie's grandchildren, actually, our grandchildren. Kayla, age 3, and Thomas, age 1. And this is our daughter Krista's 2 children. And now we have Alexander, who's 3, and Carrington, who is 2. And they're living in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Lovely. So not too far away.
No,
Not too
within
far.
reach.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And they're all Salvationists, your 2 daughters and their husbands. One family serving in the Army.
Yes.
The couple in Halifax are Salvation Army officers, both her and her husband are stationed there in their first year in Halifax. 2nd appointment with the Salvation Army, but 1 year in Halifax, at Halifax Citadel.
Tremendous. It's one of the things I've noted about the Salvation Army, that it tends to have a very consistent following within the family groups.
Yes.
Generation after generation
Yes.
step up to the plate.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's an amazing reality that works itself out. When Krista came to us and said she felt called to be a Salvation Army officer, we had to really check that, because it isn't all good days. And we thought that as a teenager, is she really seeing the whole picture of ministry and service? But we had a delightful journey with her, and very proud of her today.
Wonderful.
And our oldest daughter was youth pastor with the Salvation Army till her children were born, and now she's a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years anyway.
I guess. Handfuls of blessing.
Yes.
Well, what an adventure you have had most recently as senior executive leaders in a very troubled place, the United Kingdom. You didn't see any of the riots. You got out before
Just
the
left.
fires.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been past your building with the scriptures on the glass
Yes.
front.
Yes.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I said to my husband, I'd like to take a picture of that. He said, oh, you'll never see it. You know, it's just a subtle imprint of
Yes.
a
The
couple of
scripture verses go right around the building.
It's
Yes.
beautiful. I'm glad that you missed the excitement there. The Prime Minister has pledged to help 120,000 of the country's most troubled families in what he calls a slow-motion moral collapse of Britain.
Yes, yes.
Were you distressed by what you saw socially?
Yes and no, because we saw the best of Britain on many fronts. But in every culture, there's the darker side. I think it's absolutely amazing for a politician to say publicly, Britain, you have lost your moral compass.
Yes.
Which I hope translates into the faith community rising up to assist leaders in that whole issue of how do we discover our moral compass. Certainly our faith has to be reintroduced to that.
You know, Commissioner Brian, when I was there in 81,
Yes.
and I think I've shared this on the year before, I was at Bible school over there, and we were doing an outreach. I was in a community outside Manchester,
Yes.
and wonderfully welcomed into an elderly woman's home for dinner. And there was a screech, distress outside. She said very calmly, it's probably a stolen car.
Yes.
I looked out the window. There was the car, middle of the street, all 4 doors open. It had been abandoned.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is 1981, overturned bus shelters, fires in pillar boxes. Those are the mailboxes. Just a lot of unrest, frustration, distress, and vandalism. And I was told at the time, this is the fruit of 2 generations removed from church.
There has to be a part of that that's in play. The other reality is that there's a large portion of the population, particularly the younger people, who have no direction. They're not in school, they're not at work, which means they're brought into a very idle life.
They're bored.
They're bored.
And
There's
without
no purpose,
hope.
no purpose, no hope. And that creates then, of course, the fertile soil for gangs and all these other things. It's quite sad. On the other side, we did not see in general living in London and in our travel throughout the United Kingdom what we've seen on the TV the last days. We saw a very caring, compassionate people. The Scots, the Irish, the Welsh, and the list goes on. We saw very caring people and responding to needs in the world, and so on and so on. So there are always the 2 sides. What we've seen of late is quite distressing for everybody.
And we're certainly pleased with the Salvation Army being on the front lines there every day, but certainly during these rides as well, out there helping, doing what they can, being there, being a powerful force for Christ on the streets. So
I know you're excited too, and I've seized you before you've had a chance to go down to our Studio B to see the newest initiative of the Salvation Army for the next generation, for 7 to 10-year-old children. Have you even seen a peek?
We've been
not in the actual production or in the studio.
But you know about Ready to Serve.
Conceptually,
we've read about it. We've been told
it's exciting.
about it, so it's very exciting.
Ready to Serve is probably, and that's the program we're referring to for our viewers' interest. Salvation Army has the opportunity to always have connection with children. Children are our future in many respects. So the Salvation Army today is trying to look at a new way into their world, which is very different from the world when we did Sunday school curriculums in the way that we did.
Multimedia, internet, interactive.
They are so entertained, and Ready to Serve has that interactive quality to it that we hope will just regenerate and re-enthuse our children about learning about Christian faith.
The vision of Major Denise Walker, who left us 20 years ago with this in her heart. It's a real Joseph story because it's now coming to fruition. She, of course, is the Assistant Territorial Youth Secretary in the Youth Department right down there in Toronto. You're living in Toronto now.
Absolutely.
And we're just so excited that this is coming. And I think we want to say thank you, too, for partnering with us in bringing the movie Courageous, which is a focus on fathers. Talk about trying to restore the family. And thanks to a team effort coming to theaters in Canada. And I'm so glad that we've been able to work together in these things.
It's great.
We've had some of our folks pre-screen this film and reporting back to us the absolute wonder of this. It'll be a place where people can take others. Churches can go as church families and bring others. All of that. It has a miracle message in it, and it's one that we all need to hear. So that's great.
Commissioner Rosalie, your specialty, of course, is women, and we would, I'm sure, need a lot more time than we have to begin to understand what you're seeing in terms of women's issues.
Yes, I'm looking forward to getting a good picture as I travel across Canada. I've been away for 5 years, and things change a wee bit, so it'll be good to talk to people and to understand where they are these days when it comes to the women's ministry.
Is it hugely different from Halifax to Fiji?
No, I think all over the world. I think it's the same thing in many ways. Respect is a big thing. Like women want to be respected, and I think that to be able to provide programs, resources, to be able to let them know they're loved and valued and respected in the workplace, in the home, in society, I think it's a huge issue. The other thing is connection. They want to be connected to someone, the relationship. They want deep relationships with God, with other women, with people, to feel, again, valued. cared for, and I think that's a great need. Loneliness, they're very lonely women because relationships are broken down and life can be tough.
Too
And
fast.
Yeah.
Life is too
Life
fast.
is fast. So they need to have that connection, and I think we want to provide across the country places where they can go and feel connected. And of course, hope. You know, a lot of people are very hopeless. Women are no hope these days. We want to make sure that they're connected so they know there's hope in Jesus. Relationships can be mended, and we want to be able to provide for them. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting into that and empowering my women leaders. I have some great women leaders
I've met
to be
some
out
of them.
there on the front lines and doing their.
You're on your way to Camp Sunrise soon?
Yes.
Out in BC
Yes,
on the
yes.
Sunshine
Yes,
Coast.
yes,
Major Denise Walker called me out there, and
Yes.
I had 2 camps with 2 very different groups of women.
Yes.
And that was such an eye-opening experience.
Yes.
A long weekend retreat, Thursday to Sunday. They do it a little differently.
Yes.
What a beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful ministry. And understanding the very innovative, avant-garde, grassroots things happening. For example, in downtown Vancouver. I mean, I think I had maybe a stereotypical
Yes.
vision
Yes.
of what the Salvation Army did.
Yes.
They're doing a lot of out-of-the-box things, aren't
Yes,
they?
they
Aren't you?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And I just read reports from camp this past year, this past summer, and many women who've came to a relationship with the Lord, first-time decisions, first time at camp. And it's exciting to read that.
A wonderful way for women to come together. Now, people are going to wonder if I said the right thing. New Zealand, Fiji, and Tonga.
That's right.
How long did you get to stay there?
Oh, not long enough.
Too
but
short. 2.5 years. That was a blessing.
Oh.
It was great.
Yeah,
We honeymooned in Fiji,
Oh, did
and
you?
we actually were listening for the call of God to the beach there. There were children who needed the
It
Lord,
didn't.
really. But
Sorry we went, but
wonderful. Is it hard? Is it hard to live on that edge of not knowing how long you're going to be in a place and building relationships and then whisked to another part of the world?
it's not hard. In some ways it's exciting, but I think when you want to build relationships, that's the most difficult thing. I mean, it's okay now. We have no family. We can do it, but we wouldn't want to have missed that opportunity,
No,
even though short it was. We wouldn't want to have missed it.
I think a lot of people get to put roots down in one place. We haven't had that privilege, and we probably have missed some things by doing that. But what we have accumulated in relationships and friendships and experiences, I think totally outdistances if we had lived in one place, one house for the last 35 years. So hard
God
to
knows who is
Yeah.
calling.
That's
He knows us.
So every day for us.
We're
is
surprised at our
yeah.
adaptability
Yes.
sometimes. We
So
really
every
are.
day for us is a good day because it's a day to impact and influence because we don't know what tomorrow will be like. So
What a
it's
great
a great
outlook.
way to live and
Great
have
outlook.
your being.
And I love your motto. I don't know if it's personal, and I want to give you the opportunity to speak not just to Salvationists, but all of us. But I know so many watch across the country and around the world can tune in. And I just loved your banner motto, fit for purpose. Why don't you just speak to that camera, Commissioner Brian?
Fit for purpose has to be a key element of where we find the Christian church today. The reality being that we can't stay where we once were. I fully accept the fact that we stand upon the shoulders of those who've gone before us. But the church has to fit into the world in which we live. The Salvation Army has to be fit for purpose, and that's about its usability, about the contemporary nature of its message. It's about the practicalities of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. We retain the right to be passionate about the things of Christ and finding a way for that to fit into the world where we live and serve. Fit for purpose is all of that and so much more.
Commissioners Brian and Rosalie Peddle, thank you for all you are and all you're doing. 125 years the Salvation Army has been giving hope today.
Right.
Your logo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God
Thanks
bless
for
you.
having us.
Thank you very
Welcome
much.
home again.
Thank you.